Hi, Kevin Blanch. All you skiers, it's still November in Utah. We've never had snow like this. I don't know if you can see down here, but we've got literally feet. This is on the valley floor of pure powder up there in the mountains. I mean, we've got 5-10 feet up here. This is 1-2 feet right here on the valley floor. But anyway, I tried putting up my video yesterday. Lighting was bad in my house, but my book I've been working on for months now. I'm wrapping it up this week. It'll be available. My website that I'm going to build around it is called Post-Ignorance. The name of the book is called Post-Ignorance, the blowjob that changed the world. It really goes into an artistic, poetic format in the context of finance, in the context of economics, supply side versus demand side. There's a lot of economic history compiled in there. It's quantitative. I've done extensive, year-long, multi-year long studies in the context of weighting wealth against my matrix that I have built. I've had this matrix, I've used it for 10 years as a wealth manager, which I've done for the last 10 years till now for a living. I've been very successful at it, but it's called the Kevin Blanch Weighted Wealth Index. I'm going to publish it finally, and what it does, it weights wealth in a basket of stocks, in an individual equity, currencies. My weighted index uses oil, gold, real estate, medium income, and individual markets, broad markets, individual equities, against to weight your wealth. And I could prove and show anybody in the United States that 80% of the United States wealth has been destroyed over the last decade. 80%. That is fact with this matrix that I use. So everybody's been crushed. I don't care if you've got money. Your money's been crushed. That's a fact. We use the government numbers, the government CPI and the PPI. What bullshit numbers those are. I mean, the government statistics over the last decade have said we've rose at 3% inflation, PPI, CPI annually. When in reality, we've rose at 30, 20, 15%, thereabouts. I mean, I heard a guy, an actuary in New York last year, tell me that, God, we haven't even seen inflation yet, young guy, MIT kid. And I'm like, where have you been, boy? Look, as Americans, we know what inflation did over the last 10 years. We know the government number is total bullshit. We know that the median price of a house almost doubled. Oil, 800%. Gold, 600%. These are the things you have to weight against. Look, when you have money and your purchasing power, that means everything. That's all of it. Just because you have $100,000 doesn't mean it's $100,000 now or then. What's your $100,000 10 years ago? Remember, at the end of the last decade, 99, when Bush stole the election, I go into this very detailed. I call it the blowjob that changed the world, and it did change the world dramatically, hardcore. Oil, $12 a barrel. Gold, $200 an ounce. Median price of a house, $135,000. The Dow, pretty well what it is now. The NASDAQ, north of 5,000. I mean, think about this. Think about this. Then I write a lot about technology inventions right here where I live. I really go into WordPerfect. I go into the television. I go into the iOmega scam. That was the first bubble stock that really took off. I was going to school then with the kid that was leaking the information to Motley Fool. That's who made Motley Fool. All this subject matter's in there in an artistic, poetic style. I'm an artist, but I'm a finance guy. I graduated the #1 school of business in the United States. I really detail the death of the legendary finance Dr. Cooley. I go into detail about the death of my father. He was an atomic veteran at the same time as Dr. Cooley died of leukemia, an atomic veteran who was nuked in the Nevada test site, drafted guy. I go into a lot of subject matter nobody wants to talk to. I go into Eisenhower's speech in 1961, beware of the military-industrial complex, which we are. We have become everything he feared, and why? I mean, the #1 business in this country is government, by far. That's who we are. That's what we are. You know, and the biggest piece of government is military by far, so there's agenda. So I pour into all these things. It's a couple hundred pages. Like I said, it'll be available this week. My website is Post-Ignorance is where I'm going to post this thing. and sell it, give you the links. I don't even know if I'll sell it. I might just give it away. Of course, I am broke, need some money, but oh well. But hopefully I'll go back in the finance world one of these days. Look, they're not all crooks. They're not all crooks. I think we want to demonize Sachs. We want to demonize different people. Look, they didn't do this. AIG did this. The insurance industry did this. And the government freaking walked over and handed it to them. And I go into detail why they did this. Look, you have all these senators, 100 senators, all millionaires except for Biden. He's the only one that isn't a millionaire. Who think manages their money? The same people that were going down in flames. They couldn't let their money go down in flame. That's why it was bipartisan to bail these guys out. And I wasn't a fan of the bailout. I was not. Now the GM bailouts work, but it is what it is. And I go into detail how it led up and how the blowjob caused it all. And the theft of the 2000 election is really the biggest poison that ever happened to this country. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Without the blowjob, Iraq doesn't happen. With all these said subject matters. But anyway, I lay it out. Like I said, I'm an artist. I talk about the post-ignorance era that I think we're going to evolve into in counter-reaction to the neo-ignorance. So it'll be available this week. Kevin Blanch, Post-Ignorance, the blowjob that changed the world. And to all you skiers, wow.